Whether you believe me or not, the Atlanta Falcons selecting Michael Penix will be the greatest move in Falcons history. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. Now, in regards to this move, there's been a lot of scrutiny over the past few days because of the selection of not only Michael Penix, but the signing of Kirk Cousins for the Atlanta Falcons. And here is where I think this argument kind of falls. And here is where I'm coming in and saying why I believe this pick was very, very, very elite, very genius, and going forward, it was probably the most impactful pick of the Atlanta Falcons history. Now, I will go back and record in saying I did not like the pick at first, but as I thought about it, I thought, hey, this makes a lot of sense, and I want you all out there to kind of realize this too. Now, in regards to Kirk Cousins and the Michael Penix draft, a lot of people are saying it doesn't make sense for two reasons. Number one, you signed Kirk Cousins, and number two, you gave up the opportunity to draft a player that will impact the Atlanta Falcons now to help Kirk Cousins. So you're not trying to win now, or you're not trying to win later either, because you're going to hinder the performance of Michael Penix due to Kirk Cousins being there. Also, a lot of people are saying, hey, you paid too much for that. And to that argument, I would say this. Let's first start with the first one, with Kirk Cousins being there, and you shouldn't have drafted Michael Penix. Number one, the Atlanta Falcons wanted to win now. They truly did. And they signed Kirk Cousins to win now. And there's nothing wrong with that. But let's just take a step back. What if the Atlanta Falcons had not signed Kirk Cousins? What if they said, hey, we're going to try to get a quarterback in this draft, and they didn't land Kirk Cousins? And then when it came to draft time, they were sitting at 8, and they were trying to get Michael Penix at 8. But teams knew they needed a quarterback, and they jumped them to 8. Let's just say the Raiders jumped to number 6 with the Chargers and got Michael Penix. Then what? Then the Atlanta Falcons will not only be out of Kirk Cousins, but they will be without Michael Penix. And that's really terrible. And I think that's why a lot of people didn't like this move, but I think that's why Atlanta went with this move. Not only did they say, hey, we want a guy to win now, but we value Michael Penix so much that we want him at whatever cost it is. And if we do not draft him at the 8th pick, then he's going to be gone. And if they had not drafted, if they hadn't got Kirk Cousins and then just decided to draft Michael Penix, there is a high probability they probably wouldn't have Michael Penix anyway. So they would have neither of the two quarterbacks. So yes, is it expensive for them to get both? 100%. But I would rather them have both than neither, to be completely honest. Now, in terms of what a lot of people said the Atlanta Falcons should do, they said they should have gotten an impact player for him or traded back and gotten some more draft capital for the team to win now. They felt like this move was for future-looking purposes. To that, I will say this. Let's just say, hypothetically, the Atlanta Falcons today have a 10% chance to win the Super Bowl. Let's just say, with that 10% chance, if they draft a player, it will go up just slightly. Is there a player on defense, because majority of their needs are defensively, and I think if Atlanta Falcons went and got a wide receiver like they did last year, a lot of people are going to be complaining, but let's just say hypothetically, is there a player on defense that will have that much of an impact that allows the Falcons to go from 10% chance to win the Super Bowl to 15% chance? And to that, I honestly will say probably not. I love Dallas Turner. I love Liatu Latu. But for them to take a team from a 10% chance to a 15% chance, I don't think there was a player out there on the defensive side that could have done that immediately. Yes, I think Liatu Latu or Dallas Turner would have taken up just a little bit, maybe 10 to 11. But I don't think that there was a player there that would have bumped them up to an immediate Super Bowl contending team. And that's what a lot of people are saying. They should have got somebody to help them win now. And to that, I will say, yeah, I understand. But was there a player out there that's going to help them win now and elevate their game? And if you say, yes, there was, then why was not a defensive player picked before the 15th pick? If there was a player that could impact the game that much, why was he not chosen before the 15th pick? That's all I'm saying. Yes, I know the Falcons need edge. I know they need cornerback. But they thought, in which a lot of people are saying, Michael Penix could be that second best quarterback in the draft. And there's one thing about Michael Penix, regardless if you like this trade or not, that a lot of people are saying is that he can ball. I have not heard one person stick their neck out and say Michael Penix cannot play and he got drafted. He shouldn't be a first-round talent. Because a lot of people understand he can play ball. Now, how will Michael Penix help us out in the future? There's a couple ways. Number one, regardless of what you all say, Kirk Cousins is going to be playing. He's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder because the Atlanta Falcons brought in Michael Penix, and so we're going to get an elevated play out of Kirk Cousins. But the second main reason that I think is pretty underrated is it gives you a win-win situation. A lot of people are saying the worst case situation for this Atlanta Falcons QB situation is that if Kirk goes out there and balls and they are not able to play Michael Penix. If Kirk goes out there and balls, then the Atlanta Falcons will be in the playoffs and they will have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And a lot of people are saying, well, if he goes out there and balls and they lose in the first round or the second round like they usually does, then that's a loss. No, it's not. Because that lets you know Kirk Cousins cannot win that next tier of playoff game, and you have his successor in the building ready to go. Now, when it comes to that percentage, like I said, right now the Atlanta Falcons have 10% chance to win the Super Bowl hypothetically. Let's just say they go out there, they get to that first round, and they don't get past that first round. I guarantee you, from a quarterback perspective, if Michael Penix develops like a lot of people say he will, he is the most pure thrower of the football. He, right off the bat, starting, developed, could give you more of a potential to win the Super Bowl more than Kirk Cousins with a defensive player could. Now, a lot of people may argue with me about that, but I'm telling you, Michael Penix is a stud. And the Atlanta Falcons were thinking, would we rather have the 10% chance to win now and maybe add a defensive player that will bump us up to a 12% chance, or potentially have a Pro Bowler in Michael Penix that would give us a 20% chance to win the Super Bowl? Now, these odds are this is just for example. And I think the Atlanta Falcons made a decision to say, hey, look, we want that 20 to 25% chance in Michael Penix in the future. We know we have a quarterback for the next 10 years rather than invest a lot of capital in this current team that will only potentially give us a 10 to 15% chance to win the Super Bowl. And it truly makes sense. Regardless if you like it or not, a lot of people are saying they don't like this because the amount they've given up. But I don't care who you are. You need a quarterback in this league. And for the Atlanta Falcons to have two quarterbacks who could be both potentially phenomenal players on their roster, who can both develop and who can both push each other, this is a win-win situation. And I think Michael Penix is the most pure talent thrower of the football in this draft. And for him, and a lot of teams were trying to trade and get him. And for the Atlanta Falcons to foresee that and say, look, we want to win now, but we want to win in the future, I think this is genius. And I think Michael Penix will take this team to new heights that they've never seen before. And he will get the job done that if Kirk Cousins won't win a Super Bowl, he could. And that's take the Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl. Because not only will you have Michael Penix at 23, but you'll have Bijan Robinson, you have Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London in the same age bracket. Not only can Michael Penix take you to the Super Bowl, but him with those other guys, that's what you need for the team going forward. Now, I will say this. Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, I don't even know if you're listening, but listen to me right now. This was a genius move by you two, and I think you know, to get a quarterback, to have two elite quarterbacks on your team going forward, I think this is one of the smartest moves that we've all seen. And this will take the Atlanta Falcons to new heights, and this will be the win of the century for all the Atlanta Falcons fans. Now, I know this video went long, but I wanted to explain this because I saw a lot of hate regarding Michael Penix and this move for the Atlanta Falcons. But if you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here. And like always, peace.